Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another episode of Event TV. And of course, on Event TV, we always have amazing guests. We always have amazing information for you regarding you and your upcoming events and just how to grow your business. And today we have Shiraz. Come on up, Shiraz. How
Hey,
are you?
I'm doing great. I'm actually a little disappointed now.
Oh, why are
That
you just
intro music started getting me going. I started to jam, and then it ended. I'm like, oh, I was just getting
I,
into it.
it's a jingle, it's 12 seconds of jamming, and then it goes away.
Oh, it's good. I like it. It's catchy.
Thank you. Thank you. So how is it going?
It's going really well, actually. I just had the single best event of my life in my business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us more. What's it called? When did it happen? What was amazing about it? We want to hear about everything event.
So for this event, I've been doing it for 11 years. It's
Wow.
called, yeah, it's called Release, Reset, and Reignite Your Magic for the New Year. And this was created by accident, which I thought was just hilarious. Um,
Yeah, you were aligned, of course.
I was aligned. Um, it's weird how alignment works because it doesn't feel like you're aligned. Because what happened was it was coming up on Christmas, and I wanted to do an event to help people deal with all the drama, the family drama that happens over Christmas dinner and the holidays and the kids everywhere. And so it just gets you settled and okay for that. And I didn't book it early enough. So the place I was holding it at, in person place, they said, we're all booked up. And I'm like, what? I said, but I come there every month. She goes, this is Christmas. Everyone books it in quickly. You didn't do it fast enough. So I said, is there any spaces available anytime in December? And she said, there's December 31st from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And I'm like, New Year's Eve in the middle of the afternoon. Is anyone even going to show up for that? She goes, I don't know, but that's the only spot that we have. There's the studio's available. No one's booked it. Of course, no one's booked it. It's the afternoon on New Year's Eve. So I said,
Right.
you know what? Book it. And I said, we'll call it Clearing the Crap for a Better 2014, because it was 2013 at the time.
Right.
And I just thought we'll do that. We'll do a whole bunch of clearing in the afternoon. People can go party in the evening and then start their new year. It oversold.
Love it. And then
Yeah.
the event was born.
The event was born and people were reporting amazing results from being at the event. So we started doing it every year. I eventually changed the name so that it didn't include the year because I had to keep changing all my graphics. so,
Right.
so
Smart.
yeah. And so now we had the biggest one moved online, and we had 313 people registered, and
Woo.
255 showed up, which was an 80% turn up rate for an event.
Love it.
So, yeah, so I was so happy, and I'm still getting thank yous from people from the event for how powerful it was.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you do great work. And we recently connected because we shared a summit together and we had a conversation. And I was like, I love him. Yeah. Yeah. So, and here we are now. So just give us a background of who you are and where you are and anything that you want to share with the world.
So, I am a reality interventionist, and I help you get out of addiction to your current circumstances and addicted to better circumstances.
Yes, yes. So you help people who are addicted to cute little cupcakes get unaddicted to cute little cupcakes.
Yeah.
Nice. That's magic. That's magic. Okay. So how did you get into that? I mean, that's really, really I know I was kind of kidding there, but that's some really important work because there are some people that may be addicted to some bad habit that is holding them back, right?
Yeah.
And so tell us, how did you get into this?
So I have been a transformational coach for a while, and I would get results with people, but some people, the results wouldn't stick. And talking to other people in the industry, this is common,
Right.
right? So for a while, I just accepted that some results don't stick until I was having a discussion with one of my clients, and we had just gone through this whole process because there was something that went wrong in his life every single day.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I'm done. I'm so sick of this. Every day something goes wrong and I have to fix it. And I'm fixing things every single day and I'm exhausted. And then I asked him, I said, are you a problem solver? And he's like, oh, hell yeah, I'm a problem solver. I said, oh, he's put a lot of pride into that. He goes, it's my business. It's what I do for people. They come in, their stuff's not working. I get it working. And I'm like, so your whole identity is around problem solving. He's like, yeah. I said, so what do you have to keep creating in your life to show that you have value? He's just like, oh, shut up. I'm like, problems.
Right.
So he's like, so I'm stuck like this? I said, no, you're stuck because you've identified your value only as solving problems. When solving problems is something you do and not who you are, then you don't have to solve problems all the time. You can just do it when it's necessary. But as long as it's who you are, it's got to be there every day.
Right.
So we did some work to realign who he thought who he was. So his value comes from another source. He's just got value because he's an amazing person. And he's an amazing person who can also solve problems. And then the problems went away. The only problems he had to solve were the ones people were paying him to solve. And then like he's so happy, there's no problem showing up in his life. And he goes on his merry way. And then he calls me up 3 weeks later and he said, I had problems today. I'm like, why do you sound so happy about that? And he said, well, the first week there were no problems and it was great. And I was like, yeah, no problems. This is amazing. The second week, I was like, when's the shoe going to drop? I've been a while without problems. And by the third week, I'm in full anxiety, kind of expecting a problem to show up. When it did, I felt relieved. And I said, you're describing withdrawal.
You said you're having withdrawals?
Yeah, he's describing withdrawal and then like getting his fix from a drug addiction. That's exactly the description of how it works. Drug, alcohol, whatever it is, that's what it feels like.
Right.
And that's when I realized there is a chemical component to this, in that every time he solved a problem, he got a hit of dopamine. And he created this dopamine addiction in his body, a physical addiction. And when we took away the source of the addiction, his body went into withdrawal. So when you start changing habits, it's not just a matter of breaking the old habits and changing the mindset. You've got to replace the addictions with new addictions so that the results hold.
Right. New healthier addictions.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. Love that. And so when you utilize that process, people, your clients, began to see results.
Yes.
Love that. Love that.
And yeah, and that's the basis of my work. And I've used it on myself as well, because sometimes what we think is a good thought or habit is actually a bad addiction in disguise. So for instance, I used to work above and beyond all the time. I'd work harder, I'd work longer, and I was so proud of it. I was like, everyone else would be tiring out. I'd be pulling all-nighters. I'd be getting so much work done, and I was so proud of it. Except I'm burning myself out, right? So
right, exactly.
Right. And then finally I said, well, wait a sec. What if my addiction went from the pride I feel for being able to work so hard to the ease at which things get done? What if I decided I want to do something and someone else popped in and said, oh, I can do that for you. Or here's something that'll get it done easily. And so if I got my dopamine hit every time that happened, then I wouldn't need a dopamine hit every time I had to work hard.
Right.
And so the amount of work I've had to do in the last couple of years has drastically gone down, because I'm now addicted to other people helping me out. It's much easier life.
Love it. So typically, who do you work with when you are doing this level of work? Who do you work with?
I typically work with entrepreneurs at the mid range. At the high end, it's women coaches.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right, perfect. And in this case, and it's just for the person who is, coming to the podcast, they're seeing you, they're hearing you, and it sounds intriguing. What instances that it would show up in an entrepreneur that may be in a mid range or even the high level range?
So if you're having a consistent problem showing up in your business over and over and over again, that's an addiction. And the thing is, you have to stop looking at it like it's an addiction and just say, well, I, I can never make more than, say, $75,000 a year. Then
And
your
that's an
body's
addiction,
actually,
right? If you
yeah,
if you have that limited, okay.
yeah, that's an
Some more
addiction. People
and
don't see
some
that. Yeah, because you think, well, I just haven't figured out how to do it. But chances are you have figured out how to do it, but you are unconsciously stopping yourself because 75 maintains the addiction. The,
right.
yeah. The other thing to notice is when you have yo-yo results, because yo-yo results, what happens is you're coming out of the addiction, you go into withdrawal, you get pulled back into the addiction. You try to get out again, you go into withdrawal, you get pulled back in, and that's a sign of addiction. Is yo-yo results in your business.
Oh, that's pretty interesting because sometimes when I feel like I'm stuck at
Mhm.
something, I say to myself, what am I pretending not to know?
Mm.
What am I pretending I don't know? Because we know it, right? As
Yeah.
the expert, but there's something subconscious that kind of keeps us back. And honestly, the work you do is absolutely invaluable because a lot of times, with entrepreneurs, if they're not hitting their goals, if they're not doing very well in their business, it is not because they do not have the skill. It is because they're holding themselves back. Would you agree?
Yes. Absolutely. And you don't even know you're doing it. For
Right.
for me, I had consistently made $100,000 in my business for decades, which is a nice place to be. But when you're trying to keep growing, that just becomes a high level of frustration because I have coaches, I have systems in place. I know what I'm doing. Why am I not getting past $100,000?
Right.
And it wasn't until I did some breakthrough work with a coach of mine, and we found out that when I was a teenager, a lot of my friends, my family would say things like, Shiraz, you're really smart, you're really creative. We have zero doubt that you'll be making millions of dollars. And I'm like, oh, cool. Thank you, guys. I said, yeah, you're going to have that house on the beach. You're going to be traveling the world. It's going to be awesome. I'm like, oh, yeah, this sounds great. And then we get to come hang with you and travel with you. And I'm thinking, oh my God, they're all going to leech off me. Right.
Right. What?
And so, yeah. So my mind said, $100,000 is enough that you can live comfortably, but not so much that they have an excuse to just descend and stay at your place and expect you to take them traveling and buy them stuff. And I had to get over all that and be in the space that if I make that much money, then it's just no, stay out of my house, right? I mean,
Right.
it's not gonna be like that all the time. I'll have parties, host people, but I had this thing that I had to do it. That's just going to happen. It's inevitable. And when I let that go over the next year, I doubled to $200,000. Right?
Awesome. Love it. Love it.
So yeah, like you said, the skills were there, but I was stopping myself.
You're stopping yourself. And, just to share with everyone, what are
Mhm.
some reasons, some unconscious, maybe one or two that you want to mention, other than what you just stated, why people would hold themselves back? And, why are some reasons where, you may be working a job and that you're not getting paid a whole lot and the boss is getting on your whole entire nerves,
Mhm.
and why can't you leave the job, or why are you an entrepreneur and it's just not going well for you the way you thought it would? What are some reasons?
For not leaving the job, and we call it the golden handcuffs. It's what we feel is,
Say
yeah,
that again. The what?
golden handcuffs, right? it's a steady source of income. It's stable. It feels safe. And so when you think about becoming an entrepreneur, it's like, where's my stability going to come from? I don't know where my income's coming from. I don't know if it's going to be consistent. So you keep making excuses, stay in the job. Right. And
Right.
it's a big one. It's a
That's
big
a
one.
big one, and people get comfortable with that. So it boils down to the fear.
Yeah.
Fear.
And
Love it.
and
Love it.
that's staying at the job. As an entrepreneur, the big things I find for people are, if I become successful, that's a lot of responsibility.
Mm.
All right. I'm going to have to be responsible for my team. I'm going to have to be responsible for my clients. I have to be a role model. So I have to watch my behavior all the time. All right. People are going to be judging me all the time. And,
Oh, you're speaking my language. Keep talking.
right. And that's all this pressure. And you're not even there yet. You're putting it on yourself already. And you're like, I don't want to have to deal
Never
with that.
mind.
So long before it can become an actual thing, you make sure you don't have that kind of level of success.
Love it.
And this is the thing. When you stop giving a crap what everyone else thinks about you, what everyone expects of you, then you create freedom for yourself.
Mm.
Right. And because there's a truth to it. Once you reach a certain level of success, people are going to expect you to be their role model, expect you to behave a certain way. Right? And that's their problem. It's got nothing to do. That's all on them. Because the thing that got you to that level was you being you. So the thing that's going to continue to keep you at the level is you just being you. Stop putting pressure on yourself. Let it go.
Love it. Love it. I feel as if you're speaking directly to me right now because this is so spot on and so true. And we do kind of make ourselves feel, like stop ourselves. So
Mhm.
that's so spot on. And what was I going to ask you um, in regards to all of this? And then you actually are the person that help people just kind of take off all the chains and
Mhm.
help with the subconscious programming and lift that, correct?
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
difference between what I do and what a lot of other people that do transformational work do is I address the withdrawal.
Mm,
Sometimes we have to do the same mindset work over and over because you fell off the wagon. And when that happens, I encourage people, don't go into self-judgment, don't go beating yourself up. It's just like someone that's been, you know, 8 months without a drink and they had a bad day and they had a drink, they just start again. They're not a bad person. It's just we've got to reset the journey. And
right.
it takes typically 6 months of consistent work to get over an addiction. And
Wow.
most people will spend a few weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
And be like, you know what? I'll never change. Yeah. So, with that being said, that I'll never change, I'll never hit that goal, I'll never do this. What would you say to that person who's listening right now and who really believing that Shiraz, you're just talking, you're amazing. That's why you're hitting your multiple six figures and seven figures. That's why you have your business. What do you say to that person? Because they probably see something different in themselves and it's not.
So I'm going to start with a quote from Henry Ford: whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. So,
That's
um,
another Shiraz ism where you told you dropped gems. Yeah.
and what I've found is an interesting phenomena is the my problem is too big and I will never change or I will never get over it is a source of pride and personal value. So the
Mm,
fact that you can't conquer this makes you special. And if you were to suddenly make more money unconsciously, you'd feel less special because your problem wasn't as big as you thought it was. And so
wow.
people say,
That's
yeah,
kind of deep. That's super deep.
it's kind of crazy, but it's not uncommon. And so one of the things I teach people is to recognize that you inherently have trillions of dollars worth of value in you. You were born that way.
Right.
And you are taught later on that your value comes from what you do rather than who you are.
Right.
Okay.
I love that.
However, yeah. And however, what happens is when you get that the value is inherent, then what you do isn't how you get your value, it's how you express your value.
Right.
Right. And people know this, especially if you've ever held a newborn baby. You don't, unless you're at some level I don't want to talk about, you don't sit there and go, oh, look, you've just been born, you're worth shit. Like you're not worth anything. You haven't done anything in your life. You
Right.
hold that baby and you're like, oh my God, I feel so much value coming off this child. Right? You can physically feel it. That
Right.
value never diminishes. It just gets covered up.
You're so right.
And
You're
so
so right.
when
I love that perspective.
that's it. And everyone's felt it and everyone knows it. But then we get taught other things. And we get taught what our parents have taught us, and which was their parents taught us. And so remember, when you're a little baby and you're trying to learn to walk, your parents don't sit there and go, you could have done that better. I didn't see enough effort coming out of you. Right. It's just like,
Right.
no, you got this until you're walking, and they're celebrating with you and encouraging you the whole time. However, you're in high school and you're trying to do your best, like you could have done better.
Right.
Right? I didn't see enough effort. Like it changes as you get older.
Right.
Right.
That's a great point. And I want to kind of shift this in the last part because I know that we're going to be wrapping up here soon. With events, there may
Mhm.
be some individuals that are out there saying, you know what? I don't want to have an event. It's not for me. It's for all the big name people who are making $1 million and, who are making, X amount of dollars. Events are not for me. What would you say to those individuals who are, holding themselves back from hosting their first event or first
Okay.
profitable event?
I'd say, have you worked with Shanna yet?
Oh, now that is so. That everybody was not rehearsed. That came naturally, but yes, that's a great question to ask.
So events and speaking are the number one way to build your business and make money.
And you are
Right.
speaking by not just as an expert in transformation, but you've done your own. But proceed.
My event on New Year's Eve was a 3-hour event where we did $150,000 in revenue in 3 hours. Okay.
Woo! Yes. January
So
came in 6-figure month. There we go.
the thing, in order to have a successful, profitable event, you need to have the right team in place. I watch people try to put on an event and they're like, I booked an event for 2 weeks from now and only 5 people showed up. I'm like, first of all, it was only 2 weeks from now.
Right.
Right. So that's not a lot of ramp up time. And what did you do when you put this together, and who was helping you? And when I did my December event, I was getting promotion partners 4 months in advance, lining them up.
Right.
Right. And I talked to 5 people a day for 4 months. And all those conversations did not end up in people helping me to promote my event.
Right.
Right. Some of it was not in alignment. Sometimes the timing was off. Sometimes we just did not like each other. However, that's it. However, from the conversations, it also led to me meeting other people. It led to people having conversations with me about the event. Are you doing this with your event? Have you talked to this person about your event? Here's an expert you may want to work. So all these resources came in. And so when you have the right people in place, like if you've got an event coordinator, an event team, and they've already done this for event after event after event. So it's already taken care of. All the work's already been done. So you just sit back and let the work get done. And
Right,
that's why I always recommend working with a team on this.
right. Awesome, awesome.
And
So definitely you need a team, but the mindset part, share with us about what do you need for that?
okay, you have to believe you have something worth offering,
Hmm.
right? Because otherwise, you're just going to hope some person buys it, but you don't actually believe you're going to be able to deliver the value. So you've got to know that you're going to give the value. You've got to have an attitude that people want what you have to offer, right?
Right.
Because and this is, I was guilty of this for so long. If you're not in the space of, I get to play with you if you purchase my product or my program, then when you start to talk about it, you will go into this push energy. It's like, here comes the sale. And the whole audience will feel like, oh, here comes the sale, right? However, if you're like, okay, look, we've had a great event, we've played during the event, I've given you the framework for what I do and how I work with people. Now, do you want to play in a bigger way? Now they feel invited. They're like,
Mm,
oh, there's going to be more. There's going to be a journey with this person. I already love this person. How do I stay in this person's world? And that's
right,
all from your mindset of, we're going to have so much fun together.
right.
And you can see it when you watch people speak, if they're in that space or they're not, because as soon as they go into the pitch, you'll feel a little bit of a push if they're not there.
Right. And you can help people feel that level of alignment when they work with you, right?
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely.
So tell us how, if I'm planning an event and I'm scared, because trust me, you can have the framework. We have the framework for you, how to fill the room, all of the logistical items, but you need that internal movement, that internal beacon that says, I can do this. And Mr. Shiraz can help you with that. So tell us, how could we connect with you to find out more about how you can help ensure that we are on track with our mindset and growing our businesses and doing the things that we want to do? Because as you said before, we could be going for it, doing great and knowing that our next step is an event, and then we talk ourselves out of it for one reason or
Yeah.
another because it's scary.
Yeah. I have an event actually every single month called Ignite Your Success. And in that, we go into the mindset, actually coach people during that event one on one on what's keeping them from having massive success. And if that's something you want to attend, it's the second Monday of every month at 1 p.m. It's absolutely free, and we have a lot of fun. I basically, I'm actually surprised because I give the same talk to start it off before I start coaching people, but people show up for that talk over and over again because that the value of what I say sinks in a little deeper each time, so that you can get bigger shifts and bigger awarenesses of how much success you have inside that you're not letting out. And I want you to be at maximum potential for how much success and how much of a gift you are to the world. Right? Every person can give trillions of dollars of value to the world once you believe you have trillions of dollars of value to give. And everyone has it, they just don't believe it. So that's the point of that whole workshop.
Love it. Love it. I think that's such a great idea because I mean, that just having the right mindset and, being shifted inside of your body is so, so valuable. And I want to thank you so much for all the work that you're doing with that,
Thank you.
And so, as you all heard, if you want to connect with Shiraz, we're going to have his information linked up on his page and on our pages so you can get connected and attend those meetings because your trillions is waiting on you. Definitely.
Definitely.
So, Mr. Shiraz, is there anything else that you would like to share?
I would just say that don't be afraid to be the happiest person in the room. Right? A lot of times we get treated differently if we're really happy. Like, what drugs are you on? What's wrong with you? But
Right. You're an alien.
but when you're the happiest person in the room, you give everyone else permission to come up to your level.
That
So let them come up.
let them come up. All right. Thank you so much. And we shall talk with you soon.